Our top story this week, it's been a long, hot Indian summer already. Rains are delayed, the mercury is soaring, and in the midst of that grueling heat, many of us have been forced to deal with extended, long power cuts. That's a story that happens year after year because India has simply not been able to solve its power problems and has not been able to reduce the power deficit.
Headlines in 2008 promising a permanent solution to India's acute power crisis through the government's grand scheme, the Ultra Mega Power Projects. 4 years on, no one would have expected that eager optimism to fizzle down to what is now being termed an Ultra Mega Power tragedy. Of the 4 UMPPs awarded between 2006 and 9, Anil Ambani owned Reliance Power at bagged 3, while Tata Power was awarded 1 after a tough competitive bidding process. These, along with the subsequent lot to be awarded, were meant to add a sum total of 90,000 megawatt to India's power capacity by 2017 and ease India's peak power deficit of 8 to 9% of power demand. That vision remains a distant dream. Of the projects, Tata Power has managed to commission the first 800 megawatt unit at the Mundra plant, but they're staring at a 500 crore rupee annual loss. Reliance, Saasan and Tilaya UMPPs based on domestic coal linkages are still struggling to acquire land, while Saasan has been engulfed in mining controversies. And work at Reliance Krishnapatnam based on coal from Indonesia, expected to come on stream in a year from now, has been halted indefinitely. One of the key problems is the availability of coal. Domestically, there's a 100 million ton gap between coal demand and supply, which is likely to increase to 170 million tons by FY15 as demand goes up. A total of 50,000 megawatt of power generation capacity is likely to be affected as Coal India refuses to sign fuel supply agreements with plants that are commissioned post-March 2012 since they are not in a position to assure supplies. Yet another problem with no solution in sight is the delay in awarding environmental and land clearances, which has halted 15,000 megawatt of incremental capacity. For UMPPs based on domestic coal, the situation is not irredeemable given the government's focus on improving domestic coal supplies. But for those like Krishnapatnam or Tata Power's Mundra, based on imported coal from Indonesia, here's why the story has gone horribly wrong. It all started when the Indonesian government brought in a retrospective regulation in 2010 that barred any Indonesian mine from exporting coal at prices below the global benchmark. This changed the economics of Indian firms that owned coal mines in Indonesia, as they could no longer import coal for their projects at the costs they had earlier anticipated. Tata Power and Reliance Power, for instance, were banking on a $35 to $40 price per ton for their coal, but are now suddenly looking to pay 2 to 3 times more, making the power purchase agreements they had signed at fixed prices untenable.
Their tariff was done on the basis of that regulation not being present. In fact, Australia also has come up with a carbon tax. Now, this is actually a change in law. You do not anticipate a sovereign action.
The change in Indonesia's coal policy has not just hit the ultra mega power projects, but others like JSW Energy, a company that has a 300 megawatt unit at its Ratnagiri power project based on Indonesian coal. JSW had also been among the bidders for the UMPPs, but is now glad they didn't bag any of the projects, which have now become unsustainable.
It's at a situation where nobody knows what could be the solution or what should be the solution, if you ask me frankly. When this bidding was going on, in fact, we were also discussing and talking about, and we realized that quoting a fixed price for 25 years without any escalation is suicidal.
But developers are not giving up just as yet. Reliance Power recently invoked arbitration in the hopes that the 11 procurers of power from its Krishnapatnam project based on imported coal would agree to power at higher prices despite fixed contracts that are meant to be sacrosanct. Legal experts, however, warn it's going to be a long drawn-out battle in the courts. Roughly, what would be the sort of legal time span that we're looking at? I mean, is this going to be a protracted battle?
To my mind, it will be. It's not going to be as easy as going through an arbitration proceeding. There are 11 respondents. There are some fairly critical legal issues that will come up, and it could run a couple of years for sure.
coal supplies, domestic or international, are only a part of the problem. Another key concern lies in the acquisition of land for big-ticket projects like these and also obtaining environmental clearances for the required coal. Two issues that lie largely unresolved. And so the UMPPs that were meant to bridge the power gap in the country lie in shambles 6 years after they were conceived, barely making any progress. Total capacity addition in the 11th plan has been around 50,000 megawatt, much lower than the 78,000 megawatt that was planned initially. And the 1 lakh megawatt target for the 12th plan has also been revised downward to 88,000 megawatt by the Planning Commission. Now the hope is of a swift policy amendment in the current UMPP norms to introduce a full pass-through of fuel costs to the end consumer. This will at least expedite the award of the 12 remaining UMPPs of 64,000 megawatt that are currently stuck. In Mumbai, Nikhil Anandar, NDTV Profit.
India's #1 news app. Just got even better. Download NDTV's new app. Fully optimized for retina display. Full screen view. Faster response time. And Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.